sure you all are excited for this movie. All 40 of us were indeed good and talented, but the best of best were to be selected for this play. The first step towards this, the auditions, were held on the 6th of July. All the interested actors for the role of each character were judged in a fair manner by the entire class, and the final roles were assigned on the 7th of July. To make this movie more realistic, appropriate audio and voices were to be given. This was done under the guidance of the director Karthik and Pallavi and also the characters Rashmi and Swati. Thus, the audio recording was done on July 12th. Now, the final and the main ingredient for a successful movie is acting. The trial for the entire movie was done in our producer Sudipti's house on July 13th. The actual shoot took place in our director Pallavi's house on 2nd and 3rd August. Each one of us has contributed directly and indirectly to put up this amazing play. So here we present before you The Dear Departed by VR1.
Will you? I'm amazed at you, Victoria. I really am. How you can gallivanting about in the street with your grandfather lying dead and cold upstairs, I don't know. Be off now and change your dress before your Aunt Elizabeth and your Uncle Ben come home. It would never do for them to find you in colors. What are they coming for? They haven't been here for ages. They are coming to talk over poor grandfather's affairs. Your father sent them a telegram as soon as we found he was dead. Good gracious, that's never them. No, thank goodness, it's only your father.
Haven't they arrived yet?
You can see they haven't, can't you? Now, Victoria, be off upstairs and that quick. Put your white frock on with a black sash. I'm not satisfied, but it's the best we can do till our new black's ready. And Ben and Elizabeth will never have thought about mourning it, so we'll outshine them there. Get your boots off, Henry. Elizabeth's that crying, she notices the least speck of dirt.
I'm wondering if they'll come at all. When you and Elizabeth quarreled, she said she'll never set foot in your house again.
She'll come fast enough after her share of what grandfather's left. You know how hard she can be when she likes. Where she gets it from, I can't tell.
I suppose it is in the family.
What do you mean by that, Henry Slater?
I was referring to your father, not to you. Where are my slippers?
In the kitchen. But you want a new pair. Those old ones are nearly worn out. You don't seem to realize what it's costing me to bear up like how I'm doing. My heart's fit to break when I see the little trifles that belong to grandfather lying around and think he'll never use them again. Here, you'd better wear these slippers of grandfather's now. It's lucky he just got a new pair. Elizabeth's that sharp, she'll see I'm after it and she'll drive a hard bargain over it. What it is to have a low money grubbing spirit?
Perhaps she's got her eye on the new husband.
She's never been here since grandfather bought it. If it was only down here, instead of in his room, she'd never guess it wasn't our own.
Amelia!
Henry, why shouldn't we bring that bureau down here? We could do it before they come.
I wouldn't care.
Don't look so daft. Why not?
Doesn't seem delicate, somehow.
We could put that shabby old chest of drawers upstairs where the bureau is now. Elizabeth could have that and welcome. I've always wanted to get rid of it.
Suppose they come when we are doing it.
I'll fasten the front door. Get your coat off, Henry. We'll change it. I'll run up and move the chairs out of the way. Will you fasten my frock up the back, Mother? I'm busy. Get your father to do it. What have you got your coat off for, Father?
Mother and me is going to bring grandfather's bureau down here.
Are we finishing it before Aunt Elizabeth comes?
No, child. Grandpa gave it to your mother before he died.
This morning?
Yes.
He was drunk this morning.
You mustn't ever say he was drunk now.
I thought I'd fix this down as well. Our clocks were nothing and this always appealed to me. That's Grandpa's clock. Be quiet. It's our room. Mr. Henry, Victoria, don't breathe a word to your aunt about the clock and the bureau. I thought we'd fixed it. Victoria, if that's your aunt and uncle, you're not to open the door. Mother, it's them. You're not to open the door till I come down. Let them knock away. Mind the wall, Henry. That was a near thing. Open the door, Victoria. Now, Henry, get your coat on.
You need not much plaster off the wall.
Never mind the plaster. Do I look alright? Take this and sit down. Amelia, and he's gone at last. Yes, he's gone. He was sent to do a fortnight last Sunday.
Now, Amelia, you mustn't give way. We've all got to die some time or other. It might have been worse.
I don't see how.
It might have been one of us.
It's taken you a long time to get here, Elizabeth.
Oh, I couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it. Couldn't do what? I couldn't start without getting the morning. We have ordered ours, you may be sure, and never could fancy buying ready-made things. No, for myself, it's such a relief to get into the blast, and now perhaps you'll tell us all about it. What did the doctor say? Oh, he's not been near it. Not been here?
Didn't you send for him at once?
Of course I did. Do you take me for a fool? I sent Henry at once for Dr. Pringle, but he was out.
You should have gone for another. Eliza?
Oh, yes, it's a fatal mistake. Pringle attended him when he was alive, and Pringle shall attend him when he's dead. That's professional etiquette.
Well, you know your own business best, but...
Yes, it is a fatal mistake. Don't talk so silly, Elizabeth. What good could a doctor have done? Look at the many cases of persons being restored to life hours after they were thought to be gone.
That's when the father went down. The father wasn't drowned, Elizabeth.
There wasn't much fear of that. If there was one thing he couldn't bear, it was water.
Ben! I'm sure he washed regular enough. If he did take a drop too much at times, I will not dwell on that now. Father had been merry this morning. He went out soon after breakfast to pay his insurance.
My word, it's a good thing he did.
He always was thoughtful in that way. He was too honorable to have gone without paying his premium. Well, he must have gone round to the Ringo Bells afterwards, For he came in as merry as a sandboy. I says, we are only waiting for Henry to start dinner. Dinner, he says. I don't want no dinner. I'm going to bed.
Ah, dear, dear.
And when I came in, I found him undressed sure enough and snug in bed.
Yes, he had a warning. I'm sure of that. Did he know you?
Yes, he spoke to me.
Did he say he had a warning?
No, he said, Henry, would you mind taking my boots off? I forgot before I got into bed.
He must have been wandering.
No, he got them on, all right.
And when we'd finished dinner, I thought I'd take up a bit of something on a tray. He was lying there for all the world as if he was asleep. So I put the tray down on the bureau, no, on the chest of drawers, and went to awake him. He was quite cold.
Then I heard Amelia calling for me, and I ran upstairs.
Of course we could do nothing. He was gone.
There wasn't any doubt.
I always knew he'd go suddenly in the end. Well, will you go up and look at him now, or shall we have tea? What do you say, Ben?
I'm not particular.
Well, then, if the kettle's ready, we may as well have tea first.
Come on then, let's move to the dining table.
One thing we may as well decide now. The announcement in the papers.
I was thinking of that. What would you put? At the residence of his daughter, 235 Upper Corn Bank Street, etc.
You wouldn't care for a bit of poetry?
I like never forgotten. It's refined.
Yes, but it's rather soon for that.
You couldn't very well have forgotten the day after.
I always fancy a loving husband, a kind father, and a faithful friend.
Do you think that's right?
I don't think it matters whether it is right or not.
No, it's more for the look of the thing.
I saw a verse in the evening news yesterday. Past and forgotten by some you may be, but the spawn that contains you is sacred to we.
That never do. You don't say sacred to me.
It is in the paper.
You wouldn't say it if you were speaking properly, but it's different in poetry.
Poetic license, you know.
No, that never do. We want a verse that say how much we love him and refers to all his good qualities and says what a heavy loss we have had. You want a whole poem that will cost a good lot. Well, we'll think about it after tea. And then we'll look through his bits of things and make a list of them. There's all the furniture in his room.
There's no jewelry or valuables of that sort.
Except his gold watch. He promised that to our Jimmy. Promised to your Jimmy? I never heard of that. Oh, but he did, Amelia. When he was living with us, he was very fond of our Jimmy. Well, I don't know.
Anyhow, there is his insurance money. Have you got the receipt for the premium he paid this morning?
I've not seen it.
Mother, I don't think Grandpa went to pay his insurance this morning.
He went out.
Yes, but he didn't go into the town. He met old Mr. Tatisal down the street and they went off St. Philip's Church.
To the Ringo Bells, I'll be bound.
The Ringo Bells?
That public house that John Sherrock's widow keeps. He's always hanging about there. Oh, if he hasn't paid it?
Do you think he hasn't paid it? Was it overdue?
I should think it was overdue. Something tells me he's not paid it. As a warning, I know it. He's not paid it.
The drunken old beggar.
Done it on purpose, just to annoy us. After all, I've done for him, having to put up with him in this house these 3 years. It's nothing short of swelling. I had to put up with him for 5 years. And you were trying to turn him over to us all the time.
But we don't know for certain that he's not paid the premium.
I do. It's come over me all at once that he hasn't. Victoria, run upstairs and fetch that bunch of keys that's on your grandpa's dressing table.
In Grandpa's room?
Yes.
I don't like to.
Don't talk so silly. There's no one can hurt you. We'll see if he's locked the receipt up in the bureau.
In where? In this thing?
Where did you pick that up, Amelia? It's new, since last I was here. Oh, Henry picked it up one day. I like it, it's artistic. Did you buy it at an auction?
Eh? Where have I it, Amelia?
Yes, at an auction.
Oh, second hand.
Don't show your ignorance, Ben. All artistic things are second-handed. Look at those old masters.
Mother, mother,
What is it, child?
Grandpa's getting up.
What?
What do you say?
Grandpa's getting up.
The child is crazy. Don't talk so silly. Did you know your grandfather's dead?
No, he's getting up. I saw him.
You'd better go up and see for yourself, Amelia. Here, come with me, Henry.
Listen.
What's the matter with little Vicky? Hello, what brings you here? How's yourself, Ben?
Grandfather, is that you?
Of course it's me. Don't do that, Amelia. What the devil do you mean by this tomfoolery?
He is not dead.
Doesn't seem like it.
You have kept away long enough, Lizzie, and now we have come. You don't seem overpleased to see me.
You took us by surprise, Father. Are you keeping quite well?
What?
Are you quite well?
I'm right enough, but for a bit of a headache. I won't mind betting that I'm not the first in this house to be carried to the cemetery. I always think Henry there looks none too healthy.
Well, I never.
Amelia, what the dickens did you do with my new slippers?
Aren't they by the hurt, Grandfather?
I don't see them. Why, you got them on, Henry?
I told him to put on to stretch them. They were that new and hard. Now, Henry. Well, I don't call that delicate. Stepping into the dead man's shoes in such a haste.
Oh, Grandpa, I'm so glad that you're not dead.
Hold your tongue, Victoria.
What's that? Who's gone dead?
Victoria says she's sorry about your head.
Thank you, Vicky, but I'm not feeling better.
He's so fond of Victoria. Yes, he's fond of her Jimmy too. You'd better ask him if he had promised Jimmy his gold watch. I couldn't just now. I don't feel equal to.
Why, Ben? You're in mourning, and Lizzie too, and Amelia and Henry and little Vicky. Who's gone dead? It's someone in the family.
No one you know, Father. A relation of Ben's.
And what relation of Ben's?
His brother.
Hang it, I never had one.
Dear. And what was his name, Ben?
Frederick. Albert.
Isaac.
Isaac? And where did your brother Isaac die?
In Australia.
Dear. How would be older than you?
Yes, 5 years.
Aye. Are you doing to the funeral?
Oh, yes.
No.
Of course not.
Well, I suppose you've only been waiting for me to begin tea. I'm feeling hungry.
I'll make tea.
Come along. Now sit you down and let's be jolly.
Henry, give Grandpa some pie.
Thank you. I'll make a start.
Glad to see you've got an appetite, Mr. Merriweather, although you've not been so well.
Nothing serious. I've been lying down for a bit.
Been to sleep, Grandfather?
No, I've not been to sleep.
And could you see and hear, Mr. Merriweather?
I can't exactly call everything to mind, but I remember I was a bit dazed, like I couldn't move an inch, hand or foot.
And could you see and hear, Mr. Merriweather?
Yes, but I couldn't remember seeing anything particular. Master, Ben.
Of course not, Grandfather. It was all your fancy. You must have been asleep.
I'll tell you, I wasn't asleep, Amelia. Damn it, I ought to know.
Didn't you see Henry or Amelia come into the room?
Now let me think.
I wouldn't press him, Elizabeth. Don't press him.
I wouldn't worry him. I regard Amelia and Henry. What the devil did you mean by shifting my bureau out of my bedroom? Do you hear me, Henry, Amelia?
What bureau was that, Father?
Why, my bureau, the one I bought.
Was it that one, Father?
Drag me if that isn't my clock too. What the devil's been going on in this house?
Well, I'll be hanged.
I'll tell you what's going on in this house, Father. Nothing short of robberies.
Be quiet, Elizabeth.
I'll not be quiet. Oh, I call it double-faced.
No, Elizabeth.
And you too. Are you such a poor creature that you must do every dirty thing she tells you?
Remember where you are, Elizabeth.
Come, no quarreling.
My wife's every right to speak her own mind.
Then she can speak it outside, not here.
Dentor, will someone tell me what's been going on?
Yes, I will. I'll not see you robbed.
Who's been robbing me?
Amelia and Henry, they've stolen your clock and bureau. They sneaked into your room like a thief in the night and stole them after you were dead.
Quiet, Elizabeth.
I'll not be stopped. After you were dead, I say.
After who was dead?
You.
But I'm not dead.
No, but they thought you were.
Oh, so that's why you're all in black today. You thought I was dead. That's a big mistake.
Grandfather.
It didn't take you long to start dividing my things between you.
No, Father, you mustn't think that. Amelia was simply getting hold of them on her own account.
You always were a keen one, Amelia. I suppose you thought the will wasn't fair.
Did you make a will?
Yes, it was locked up in the bureau.
And what was in it, Father?
That doesn't matter now. I'm thinking of destroying it and making another.
Grandfather, you'll not be hard on me.
I'll trouble you for another cup of tea, Amelia. 2 lumps and plenty of milk.
With pleasure, Grandfather.
I don't want to be hard on anyone. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Since your mother died, I lived part of the time with you, Amelia, and part of you, Lizzie. Well, I shall make a new will, leaving all my bits of things to whomever I'm living with when I die. How does that strike you?
It's a bit of lottery like.
And whom do you intend to live with from now?
I'm just coming to that.
You know, Father, it's quite time you came to live with us again. We'd make you very comfortable.
No, he's not been with us as long as he was with you.
I may be wrong, but I don't think Father will fancy living on with you after what's happened today.
So you'd like to have me again, Lizzie?
You know we are ready for you to make your home with us for as long as you please.
What do you say to that, Amelia?
All I can say is that Elizabeth changed her mind in the last 2 years. Grandfather, do you know what the quarrel between us was about?
Amelia, don't be a fool. Sit down.
No, if I'm not to have him, you should not either. We quarreled because Elizabeth said she wouldn't take you off our hands at any price. She said she'd enough of you to last a lifetime and we've got to keep you.
It seems to me that neither of you has any cause to feel proud about the way you have treated me.
If I've done anything wrong, I'm sure I'm sorry for it.
I can't say more than that too.
It's a bit late to say it now. You neither of you cared to put up with me.
No, Grandfather.
You both say that because of what I've told you about leaving my money. Well, since you don't want me, I'll go to someone that does.
Come, Mr. Merriweather, you've got to live with one of your daughters.
As we've come to the end of this role play today, I'm really happy to tell that Dwanit and Jodhmat, who have been trained under me and Bran, have done extremely well, and they've put themselves in Ben's and Henry's position, and me and Bran both are really happy that we've been able to help them out and let them communicate to people, being Ben and Henry respectively.
I'll tell you what I've got to do. On Monday next, I've got to do 3 things. First, I've got to go to lawyer and alter my will. And I've got to go to insurance office and pay my premium. And I've got to go to St. Philip's Church and get married.
What?
Get married? He's out of his senses.
I'll say I'm going to get married.
Who do?
to Mrs. John Sharrock, who keeps the Ringo bells. We had it fixed up a good while now, but I was keeping it for a pleasant surprise. I felt I was a bit of a burden to you, so I found someone who would think it was leisure to look after me. We shall be very glad to see you at the ceremony. Till Monday then, 12 o'clock at St. Philip's Church. It's a good thing you have bought that bureau downstairs, Amelia. It will be handier to carry across the Ringo bells on Monday.
Grandpa Abel just reminded me of this phrase, wiser than wisdom. It's so common to see nowadays that the value for relationships is being replaced by materialistic desires. This message was brought to you by the few most talented people on this world. This was the first experience of shooting a film and we enjoyed it. All the people of our cast have contributed greatly to the success of this film by their enthusiasm and sincere efforts. But the credit goes to our principal, Mrs. Georgie Rai, for giving us this opportunity to have such a unique experience.